Hello and welcome back. There we have it, Jerome Bastogne from Belgium up against Jonathan Angelescu, the modern master facing the legacy master in the last round of day one here at Grand Prix Birmingham. Both of these players undefeated, and it seems to be Living End up against Through the Breach.
Grizzle Shoal.
I think Grizzle Shoal is a huge favorite in game one.
What can Living End actually do to interact with this? They can try to
instant speed Living End
to get rid of Grizzlebrand. That's something, but is it enough?
If Jerome is high enough, it's usually not enough. Like 2 activations of Grizzlebrand usually gets you there.
And Jonathan cannot put any pressure without casting the first Living End already.
He could, in response to Goryo's Vengeance, go for Living End. So then the creature comes into play anyway. No, that doesn't do anything.
I don't think
in play permanently.
I don't think that's a good way of winning the game. That's actually a huge problem for Jonathan. If he's not main decking, if he's not main decking Fairy Macabre, then he actually has a problem as soon as the Grizzlebrand hits the graveyard.
Yep, good point.
But Fairy Macabre is actually quite popular these days.
Yeah,
so that I think changes the matchup quite a bit.
I'm not sure if it was Jonathan, but I saw someone playing it in the feature match earlier. It was actually a funny game. He was down to 3 life with his Living End deck facing a Dead Shadow and a 5/5 Gurmuk Angler. So even Living End wouldn't do it because there was also a Snapcaster Mage and a Bolt in the graveyard. So Living End would bring back the Snapcaster Mage Bolt, but he just drew Baral's Expertise, took the 5/5 and killed his opponent with that.
Not Baral's Expertise, right?
The red one.
The red one. Zev's Expertise. Yeah. Jerome has been quite screwed by this Simian Spirit Guide that Fulminator Mage. Now this is actually 2 Simian Spirit Guide decks facing off against each other. Yeah, I had the interesting discussion with Riley if how broken Simian Spirit Guide is, if it's a dangerous card for the format.
No.
I don't think so, but there are people that say it's just always used for unfair things and shouldn't be allowed.
But then you gotta ban a lot of cards, right?
And unban Bloodbraid Elf.
He went there again. This
time it didn't make any sense, but
yeah. Discarding Grizzlebrand is actually the plan for Jerome Bastogne, right?
Yeah.
And now the Fulminator Mage, this is probably game. I've seen him win from less than this.
Oh,
Grizzlebrand.
This is huge, right?
He's at 20. He's already holding the shoal and the worm.
And he has done this 100 times, right?
There is a way to fizzle, especially because he's already removed 1 Simian Spirit Guide. If 2 of his 4 Simian Spirit Guides are in the bottom, like 2 or 3 cards, then he cannot get enough mana. But that's pretty much the only way.
And then he actually loses, or
no? Then he fills his hand and
okay, then he wins the turn after. Yeah. That doesn't sound too bad. This is actually something that a lot of the combo decks nowadays have. If you don't win the turn you're trying to go off, you can win the turn after. In the past, it was often the case that when you didn't manage to go off, you were just dead. You didn't do anything else for the rest of the game.
And I'm guessing Jonathan is already looking forward to his sideboard, where he must be bringing in the Leyline of the Void. Powerful card in this matchup. I do believe Jerome Bastogne has some Leyline of the Void himself. We still haven't seen the second Simian Spirit Guide, so there's still some hope to survive 1 turn. He does have the Desperate Rituals.
Just to explain what's going on, you need at least 2 mana to get up to Desperate Ritual.
Yep.
And then after that, it's relatively easy because you have all these rituals to get up to Through the Breach to get Barbaric Moss into play.
Yep. So 2 Simian Spirit Guides, 2 mana, plus 2 Desperate Ritual. It's only 4 though, so he needs 1 more if he wants to Through the Breach into Borborygmus.
You also have the potential to just cycle with Mana Morphos if it's really that close.
So it's got 3, 4. Does he have enough? Oh, he's gonna Fadeless Looting. 3 mana left. Oh, I'm a bit surprised.
That's not standard, right? That's
No. He's gonna discard.
Ah.
Oh, look, he just knows everything. He's discarding Borborygmos so he can Goryo's Vengeance it back into play thanks to Manamorphose.
and that also wins.
Yeah.
That also kills.
That is, again, well played by Jerome Bastogne. It's just, he knows all the different ways his deck can win. I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't have figured this out, but there we go. If you're a master, you're a master. You just win out of tough spots. Deal you 3, 3 more, attack you. Yeah, game. Game number 1 goes to Jerome Bastogne in blistering fast. Even turn 2, destroy your land. Wow, this matchup, especially game 1, is certainly in his favor.
Yeah, like I said, if there is no Fairy Macabre, I don't see how the Living End deck wants to beat this.
Yeah, Leyline of the Void, but even Fairy Macabre, there can still be True the Breach put in Drizzlebrand.
And
That's
this
the
is
resilience of the deck.
if we see now both players, for example, bring in Leyline of the Void, then the Living End deck has to deal with it before it does something, and Jerome can just say, okay, I will just go up to 5 mana, and that's it.
The Living End cannot go up to 5 and start playing 4/4s. It's
Which-
also a plan.
It's much worse than getting a hasty Grizzlebrand into
Yep.
play.
He's taking out Fatal Push, a card he did not have, I believe, at the World Magic Cup, but is a concession to all of the Dead Shadow decks.
I think it wasn't even printed at the World Magic Cup, right?
Yeah, might be possible too. And that's why he didn't have it. Smart boy. His deck hasn't changed much. I think that's the only main deck card he's changed. The
Mhm.
one Fatal Push. Sideboard might have changed a bit, but the main deck stayed the same.
He knows exactly what he wants from his deck, and it's especially in game 1, you want the combo to be the most.
I'm a bit
Resilient.
surprised to see him play it, because I asked him last week if it's still good in Modern, and he said it's not very good against Dead Shadow, which makes sense because they got discarded in the fast clock. But it seems like in the other matchups it's still so good that you just want to play it.
And if you're so good with one deck,
Yeah.
that gives you, I don't know, a few percentage points at least every round, and you see it on his from his record, of course. But in this case, I think if you're facing Scapeshift, if you're facing all these Tron decks,
Yeah.
Eldrazi Tron, even Hate Bears, you can just be much faster than them, and you're attacking on a completely different axis. I like this deck choice a lot.
Yep.
If you know the ins and outs of the deck and you know how to sideboard, you know what to expect from your opponents when they sideboard, because this is something that you really have to understand with the Goryo's Vengeance deck. If you now just sideboard randomly, I'm sure you lose more games than Jerome.
And the one thing I've noticed from seeing him play is that usually he doesn't sideboard that many cards. He's pretty much sideboarding 3 cards in every matchup. He takes out the Tormenting Voice pretty much always, takes out the Fatal Push against non-Dead Shadow decks, and then takes out one Simian Spirit Guide or something. He's always doing the same, always putting, because there's just so many combo pieces in the deck. He needs the Shoal, he needs the green creatures to remove with them, he needs the Tree to Breach, he needs the Goryo's Vengeance. There's not much he can cut, and cutting Fatalist Looting would lose you so much consistency.
Yeah, you cannot do that, I think. The Tormenting Voice is kind of like the Joker that's in there for more consistency, but you don't actually need it. That makes sense. Fatal Push makes sense as a sideboard card as well. Is the Knight's Whisper in the main deck or only
Yeah.
in the sideboard?
It's
Main
two or
deck.
three,
Okay.
2 or 3 in the main deck.
This could be a quick match.
Yeah, Leyline of the Void. Look at that. This is not what Jonathan wants to see, I'm sure. Starting off game 2 the way Jerome dreamed about it.
And Jerome doesn't have has the Leyline, but also some other good cards in hand, I think.
Yeah, he's got Fatalist Looting. Does he have the turn 2 kill? That would be a way to end his day 1, 9-0 on a turn 2 kill.
He has Faithless Looting, but didn't cast it?
I've seen him do this multiple times.
Okay, he wants to
Gain
see
more,
more cards,
yeah.
what to discard maybe?
or maybe just wait till he can Goryo's Vengeance right away
Mhm.
in response to Fairy Macabre or something. I've seen him do it multiple times. He plays the deck in a very different way than most people would play it.
It makes sense, but it's still surprising. Now, I think if you have the Leyline, you're even more likely to take it a bit more slow, because you're already so favored.
Yep.
You know, from limited, if you have looting effects, it's always worth it to wait until you're sure that you're going to discard something that has lower utility, like extra lands or cheap 1 mana cards that you don't want to draw later on.
Now he's gonna sacrifice the Bloodstained Mire, search up the second land, and probably gonna draw some cards with Night's Whisper. Night's Whisper, a card that seems a little bit under, not enough power for Modern, but I guess it's the best it's got.
It's not so easy to only spend 2 mana and get ahead on cards.
Yeah.
There are not many effects in Magic overall that allow you to do that. And okay, let's ignore Ancestral for obvious reasons, but if you look at Standard, you have to pay 3 mana to get an effect like that.
Read the Bones is probably the best example there, especially in black and red. In blue, I'm sure he would just play Serum Visions or something like that.
Yeah, that's a different way. That's more on the looking for combo pieces than raw card advantage. But Night's Whisper has just such a good synergy with the Faithless Looting as well.
Let's take a look at Jerome's hand here. He's got a couple of Worms, a Through the Breach, which he's gonna discard. He's gonna discard Through the Breach, and what else? A Faithless Looting. He's keeping these Worms in hand.
Maybe he has another Through the Breach?
Yeah, he's got another Through the Breach.
The worm, when does it trigger? When it dies?
When it dies. Yeah, not when it gets exiled. Not very good against Path to Exile. Verdant Catacombs. Jonathan already down to 15, so 1 attack from the worm is enough. Is he gonna start playing his monsters just the hard way? He does have Lost Legacy, I saw, in his sideboard. Might be a card. What do you actually name? Just Grizzlebrand, I guess? It still leaves you dead to the Breach in the worm. Into worm.
Is there a way? There's not a single card you can name that just makes Jerome unable to combo.
No. If you name Through the Breach, there's still Goryo's Vengeance.
And if you name Through the Breach, maybe if you're holding Fairy Macabre,
yep.
Then I think you call it Through the Breach.
Oh, look at that. Archfiend of Ifni.
Actually, something better than a common this time around. Not that it's particularly impressive, but there are certainly worse cards. Did he exile a Simian Spirit Guide for that? Yeah.
Yep. Jerome a little bit light on lands, doesn't find the 4th and the 5th land, so I think he'll have to flash back the Faithless Looting here. And actually that Ifne, it's a fast clock. 4 attacks. Now 3 maybe? Or he's still at 16.
We can expect Jonathan to play another creature as well, right? Next turn.
Yeah, but I think Jerome will next turn, should be able to go Through the Breach into the worm, and then he'll have 3 blockers.
He just needs to draw into the lands, which he's doing at least a temple, I think.
Yeah, he's got also the Grizzlebrand and double Vengeance.
He's not being raised. I mean,
he's also got the shoal to remove a worm. A good point there. Actually, this Goryo's Vengeance deck probably also very good against burn.
Because of the shoal. It's definitely a good way of staying alive. You do have to have a certain amount of life to get to make the Grizzlebrand work. But your deck's super fast, so don't think that's a big problem.
But like, if you just look at your hand and you have the shoal and the worm, gain 11 is like your opponent discards 4 cards, which is quite good. He's gonna tap out. Jonathan, might be his last turn of the day. Horror of the Broken Lands, 4/4 and 5/4. That's all I got. What do you have? Goryo's Vengeance.
But
do you have Fairy Macabre?
Does Jerome really have a shoal? I think he has 2 worms.
He might have 2 worms, yeah. But he can still attack and draw 7.
He drew because he drew an untapped land, right?
I think it's a Temple of Malice. Or is it the Bloodstained
He played
Mire?
the temple the last turn, so...
But attacking for 15, is it better? because Jonathan has to chump, and then he gets worms, and then all there's left is the Ifne.
Yeah, he has to chump with the creature that's also the most scary, right? Because the Horror of the Broken Lands is actually threatening more damage than the Archfiend. You're forcing a chump block and you're getting 3 5/5s?
And this also plays around the double Fairy Macabre. Get in there. Some big worm knocking on your door. Hello, 15/15 trample. How are you doing?
It's just a beautiful deck, no matter how you look at it. It's just a lot of fun.
Trample for 11. Put you at 3. End of turn. Sacrifice. He can actually cycle Street Raid.
He can discard cards to take less damage here.
How is he gonna discard cards except for Street Raid?
Very macabre.
Oh, man. He's not just taking it. 11 trample, end of turn.
You know what would be cool if he just gets rid of the 3 5/5s next turn, just casually cycling them away.
Street Raid. Fairy Macabre. Street Raid. That would be pretty good.
I mean,
Then
two
there's still
Street Wraiths, I don't know if that's advisable when you're on 3.
Let's see if he can do it. Facing these triple worms. What a beautiful day. What a beautiful way to end the day. I mean, look at these constructed playable cards. Archfiend of Ifne facing off 3 worms. Gonna start with the Street Raid. Gonna be 4/4 worms right now. What can he find? Actually, he could just fire off the Demonic Dread, right? Living End, get rid of the worms.
But then Grizzlebrand comes back.
Yep. Oh. Yeah.
Maybe.
Second cycler.
Also, you
3 more.
You kill your own Archfiend, so you're really left without a way to victory, I think.
Can't you be positive, please?
For once.
Come on, for once. Let's see. 2 cyclers. There's number 3.
He's doing it.
Yeah. He's still dead to Glorious Vengeance.
No, but still.
Okay. You're positive. Good. 1 once. He's at 1 though, so he really needs to do it 5 times. 4 times not enough. Tap 2 mana. Cycle my Archfiend of Ifne. Get away, stupid worms. 1 once. Attack for 5. Are we going to see it? He's saying go. He's got Fairy Macabre.
Ooh.
Lost Legacy. He drew Lost Legacy. But there's double Glorious Vengeance though.
Yeah, this could be a bit too much.
Or you could even... Can Jerome fire off another Through the Breach? Might be the play.
I think Jerome has a lot of ways to victory. Does he have a single Glorious Vengeance
no,
or
got
multiple?
Two. If he's got only 1, I'm sure he would go for the
Through
Through
the
the Breach.
Breach.
Now that he's got 2. But what card can
I think
save Jonathan?
Through the Breach is
Is the safer play.
yeah, and
I would be very surprised to see a Slaughter Pact in a deck with so many Cascaders.
and Jonathan also doesn't have mana for Fog.
Yeah, he had the Fairy Macabre, so well played by Jerome Bastogne. What a beautiful master. He's always on top of the game in this modern format. Just knows everything. There we have the handshake, Jerome Bastogne. In Belgium we call him Jerome Bastogne de la Suerte, the lucky one. Always very lucky. And there we have it, 9-0 after day 1 here at Grand Prix Birmingham. Very impressed by the way he's piloting this deck. Just
makes it look easy.
Yeah, and it's not easy. I mean, we were here. He's like, he's got only 4 mana. How he's gonna win? Well, he just discards and Glorious Vengeance. He knows everything. It's just a beautiful way to end the day. I think we do have 1 more round going. Just gonna take a look if these players are finished. Yeah, we gotta wait a moment because I think they are shuffling. Glorious Vengeance. It's a weird deck, right? It's operating. It's just modern. In Legacy, a deck like this would never work because the existence of Force of Will. But in Modern, decks like these, they're very fringe. They can be hated out because the format is so diverse, it's impossible to hate it out unless you dedicate too many cards.
It's not just a Reanimator deck. You can just win with Through the Breach, and you have the rituals and the Syrian Spirit Guides for your combo turn, but also to accelerate the Through the Breach. There's even some crazy stuff. You can cast a shoal, and because it's an arcane spell, you can splice the Through the Breach onto it to play around counter magic, and there's just, it's a beautiful construction. I think it's really nice that it's part of Modern, and it's definitely not I don't think it's oppressive in any way. Now this would be different if 20% of the format would be playing it. Oh, there's a match going on.
Well, it's gonna go on for quite some time, as we have, well, what is probably the most slow deck in the format, in the form of Ensnaring Bridge Control, or whatever you want to call it. And then there's, just humans, Reflector Mages. I'm thinking Steven Edmondson is favored, at least in this game, and they're still at 0-0. So we're here for some time. Simon, you're not running anywhere. This might be the last round, but we're going to be here till the very last minute of it. Steven Edmondson, 8-0 with another orthodox choice. 0
losses and 0 draws.
Surgical Extraction, just making sure. Yeah, you can draw that third Reflector Mage.
But Ivan actually has a creature to attack with. He has a Noble Hierarch, so Steven does has to do something here, which is at least,
there's hope.
Yeah, it's not a completely locked game. And if it was, I think Ivan should concede, for example. If his Hierarch dies here, then it's just better to save the time and try to win 2 games after sideboarding.
And Ivan actually unbanned combo with Retreat to Coral Helm and Knight of the Reliquary.
But also very human.
Probably band company with a little combo in it.
Band company or human company or Retreat to Coral Helm combo. The Knight is actually also not the worst card to draw, right? If you have maybe some... first of all, you get a way to shuffle your deck, which is always good against Lantern. And you might have some spicy lands in your deck.
And it seems like this is going to take quite some time. I think Steven is favored, but he especially now with the Academy runes, might actually help him. But we're going to take a look at another match as this finishes up. We've got something that is probably going to go quicker. Tribal Dead Shadow Zoo against Grixis Dead Shadow Zoo.
Slightly faster matchup.
Yeah, slightly faster matchup. We already see it. They are in game 3, where the others were in game number 1. So I'm sure we will still get to see a glimpse of the other match as well. Daniel Longoria, 8-0 with Tribal Dead Shadow Zoo. Why is it Tribal Zoo? What's so different about it?
I would just guess that it's Tribal Flames. Nothing, and I don't think it has anything to do with the card type Tribal, but he could be playing some Starfighters.
It's Zoo because it's more colors than the traditional Grixis.
Probably has access to all 5 colors of mana. We also saw, where was it?
I think it was in Copenhagen.
Was it Copenhagen where we saw the
made top 8, I think. Renegade
Valier Zoo?
Yep.
Could also be in this deck.
I believe it made top 8.
George Channing is, I don't know if Hometown Hero is correct, but definitely an Englishman, undefeated in round 9. It's not something we see very often.
Part of the Axion team, it seems, wearing his blue signature shirt. It's yellow. It's late. It's getting late.
You confused me there.
Some people were, am I colorblind? No, it's just me. It's getting late. Round 9. We've been here for some time as well. And tomorrow we will be back at 9 a.m. local time. So don't you guys dare to miss it, because it's going to be interesting from the get-go. There we have Engineered Explosives on 1, not on 2. Choosing to get rid of Swift Spear instead of Tarmogoyf.
Maybe he's holding a Fatal Push. Yeah.
Mishra's Bauble, trigger the Swift Spear. It's always... these are interesting attacks, right? Do you attack for 2 here? And put the Dead Shadow deck down to 14?
But it's a lot more than 2, right? It's...
Yeah, but the Tarmogoyf is gonna die. Well, assumingly gonna die.
Do you play like you know it?
If your opponent doesn't do for 2, probably. What else would be the reason?
I would still attack. You are a Tribal Flames Zoo deck. I mean, also bringing your opponent down to 13 is actually perfect, right? Still forces George to deal at least 1 point of damage to himself.
Here we have it. Get in for 5 or 6.
Now, if George really wants to take some extra damage, he could choose not to kill the Tarmogoyf.
Yeah, but he goes for it. Goes down to 13 and another Tarmogoyf. Mismatched Tarmogoyf as well in his hand. This one is not, but the third one he's holding is from another set. Gonna draw a card from the Mishra's Bauble. Is it gonna be... Oh, Lingering Souls, another very good card in this matchup.
Okay, yeah, probably a sideboard card, I would guess. I wouldn't expect Tribal Death Shadow Zoo to play Lingering Souls in the main deck, although it's possible.
I think Tribal Death Shadow Zoo is actually quite a good deck as well.
Good deck choice,
Yeah.
metagame wise.
I like my Tribal Flames when my opponent is trying to be at 5 life.
Mhm. Yeah, it's somehow they know that they shouldn't get in burn range of Lightning Helix and Lightning Bolt, but suddenly you might kill them out of nowhere because Tribal Flames is just so much stronger. And you're damaging yourself with all these fetch and shock lands, but you are playing Death Shadow yourself.
Yep.
Makes a lot of sense.
If only we could play Bloodbraid.
Yeah, I don't think it would be particularly good, but it's just too fair. And then you cascade into Death Shadow and you're on 14.
Okay, we're not gonna play Bloodbraid in our Death Shadow deck. Anyways, let's go back to the game. George Channing down to 10 life. Does take 2 damage from the Steam Vent. He does not have a basic mountain probably in his list, so if he wants red mana, he has to do it. Is he gonna crack the Engineer Explosives? No, he's just gonna go... Oh, Snapcaster Mage, Fatal Push, not too bad either. Not too shabby. Get rid of that second Tarmogoyf. And might even create a chum block on the Swift Spear. And look at that, 4 Tarmogoyf for Daniel Longoria. Do you Tribal Flames here?
The face?
Yeah, for
Yep.
4 and then...
So just to get the trigger.
yeah?
How's the mana? He doesn't have another land, right?
No. If he would have had another land, then it's easy. Bolt you, attack, and Tarmogoyf.
What's the problem with just trading? Just offering the trade? Your Swift Spear is living on borrowed time anyway because of the explosives.
Yeah, that's actually a good point you're making.
And then you just keep 8 points of burn in your hand.
He's
Okay.
not offering a trade.
But
you were actually right. I would have liked to see an attack there.
I think this trade was really nice. Or George takes a point of damage, and that's also good. And if George doesn't block, then you can even consider bolting or something. But
Away goes Tarmogoyf number 3. But does he have an answer for number 4? Oh, look at that. Driven Despair.
So somebody is playing that card.
We saw one on camera.
Not me, no.
Yeah.
In which deck?
It was with Riley. In the Grixis Death Shadow. Actually killed his opponent. He's gonna go for it now. Isn't that a bit too slow?
He doesn't have another land, right? He
No.
just
And he cannot play another Goyf. He cannot play... he can play Dismember. I'm a bit surprised by this
no,
play.
that seems like it doesn't do enough.
Getting back that second it's in play though. It doesn't have haste.
No, that's what I mean. He didn't have another mana to.
Touchcar myself. Terminate. Scalding Turn. Draw. What he's looking for here?
Okay, I don't understand this
Death Shadow.
play of thought scouring himself. Why didn't he use the explosives?
Yeah. Maybe he's looking for a threat. He knows he needs to put some pressure on Daniel, otherwise he will just die. The problem with not cracking the explosives is that you cannot really play your Death Shadow, because that one would also die if you crack it.
This doesn't seem logical to me. If you play the explosives on one, then you have to follow through with it at some point. And he had 2 mana available. He wants to do it anyway.
Yeah, but no, he's playing his Death Shadow. Does Daniel find the third land? He does. He's looking very good in this game.
I think he's almost threatening lethal here.
Yeah, but there's still the threat of the counter for 1 mana.
Of course, the problem is also his mana is actually kind of awkward. If he gets a red source here, he will... I don't know if he's playing a Steam Vents. So if he has a blue source in his deck, he's making his mana worse. So there's no easy way of solving this.
The flashback on the split card is 1 red, right?
Colorless and a red.
Yeah, so he cannot play Goyf and give it haste. He could go for the Throat with Tribal Flames plus Bolt. But he's got to be careful, yeah. The Dismember is a little bit a little bit dangerous as well. -5, -5. It is a 5/5, but if there's a street raid or something.
But this late in the game, it's difficult for George to be holding a street raid. That would have required a lot of
and
patience.
even if there's street raid, that you can still like Lightning Bolt afterwards.
Yeah, I think that's actually fine. That's not really a big that shouldn't be a big concern. Let's put it that way.
There we go, Dismember. Go down to 7. He's also dangerously low. If George has like Stubborn Denial plus a way to get rid of all the creatures.
But this is almost impossible for George's deck. The Grixis deck doesn't just get rid of opponent's creatures. At least not in a simple way. Now you just burn him out, right? You would just have to go for it.
That if you don't play the second Goyf here, you do die to, let's say, Fatal Push, Snapcaster Fatal Push.
I'm thinking...
Well, actually, no, because it's only a 5/5, so he would need Damage Myself with Street Raid, Fatal Push, Snapcaster Fatal Push.
What about Tribal Flames your... Tribal Flames you? Or Tribal Flames the Death Shadow?
I like Tribal Flames the Death Shadow. Because if George would have had something to damage himself, I think he would have played in response to the Dismember. And if you can get rid of that Death Shadow, the game is looking very good.
The point is, if you Tribal Flames your opponent, he also has to chump block. No, he has to block the Tarmogoyf and then pop the explosives, killing his own Death Shadow.
Or have a Fatal Push.
Well, then you're lost. That's the downside.
I think I liked killing the Death Shadow a little bit better. Because what is the danger when you kill the Death Shadow?
Yeah, that's the point, right?
Now you're still losing to a combination of cards.
And if you kill the Death Shadow and it resolves, then you're winning. And we are not putting George on a what is it called? On a Street Wraith. He would have just used the Street Wraith instead of the Stubborn Denial. So it's a clean kill of the Death Shadow. I don't know how strong the Tarmogoyf is, but actually, no artifact, but probably no Planeswalkers in the graveyard.
5/6.
But if it's 5/6, then you're also bringing George down to 3 after combat.
If it's 5/6, I would have liked attacking first. It's artifact, there's a sorcery, there's an instant. Yeah, it's a 5/6.
Why attacking first? You have to cast the Tribal Flames, right?
Because you need the sorcery? There's Driven Despair.
No, to make the Swift Spear 3 power.
No, but if you attack with the Tarmogoyf when George Death Shadow is still a 5/5.
Okay. Then you just force the chump block, or he goes to lethal. Yeah.
And now the problem is that the Death Shadow is too big, and you still lose to Fatal Push or Snapcaster Mage Fatal Push. I'm not sure I like this play.
No, you don't lose to a single removal. That's important because you have the Swift Spear.
Yeah, you need double removal.
That's why I meant here you could just attack with both, and that forces George to kill his own Death Shadow to survive.
Let's see what he got. He got the Colligan's command. Does he have the Fatal Push as well? Oh, he does. I believe this is game.
Yeah, if he has both, he wins. If he drew a removal, and Daniel allowed this to happen.
Snapcat, I told you.
Just like you said,
That's what I said. Needed to get rid of the Death Shadow. Oh, Daniel Longoria punished after a very long game, but still a very good fight by him. 8-0, losing game number 3 here in round 9 to a top deck removal. I'm sure he's like, just not there, so close. And well played by George Channing. I mean, whew, what a game.
Does he win if he Tribal Flames the Death Shadow? I don't think so.
He doesn't win on the spot, but he...
Does he win the game? This is my question. Because George goes to...
Probably. George...
No, I think you have to attack... I think you have to Tribal Flames George, but then you have to attack with your creatures.
But then you lose to one Fatal Push.
But it's only the one card, yeah. But if you... no.
You just have to attack before playing the Tribal Flames. That was the right play. Wow, what a game, and so many options for these players after a very long game. I mean, we have all the information, of course. For us, it's a little bit easier. We know both players' hands, and this game was very, very difficult after such a long day of Magic. I'm guessing the Lantern deck is still going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're gonna go straight to it. There we have it. Oh, it won already a game. That's great. But this one...
Oh, we are right in time.
We have the infinite Knight of the Reliquary, but there is the Ensnaring bridge.
Okay, so what happens now?
Do we have an artifact removal? Please, Ivan, tell us we do, so we can go quickly to game 3.
Well, I'm sure he would just show it, right?
I'm surprised by Path to Exile after Cyborg. What's that for?
That doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, sometimes you don't have
Dark
an option.
Confident? Do some
No. This is extremely rare. Sometimes you have so many dead cards that you prefer to keep in Path to Exile because you can path your own creatures. That shuffles your library, which is just shuffling the library and getting extra mana is sometimes the best thing a card can do for you.
Yeah.
So I know it's not great, but
he's actually gonna Surgical Extraction the Hallowed Fountain. Oh wow, that's some next level play there.
But is the Knight untapped? Because
I'm not sure.
Okay, we don't know. We don't know what's going on exactly here.
Coral Helm combo. Does he have a way to get rid of the Ensnaring bridge?
This is I think what Steven is checking as well.
He is generating mana, right? By sacrificing these lands, so he's generating a couple of mana. And what's... There's no, as far as I see, not yet a creature that gets rid of it. Just keeps going. Cavern of Souls comes into play. Untap my Knight of the Reliquary. Oh, look at that. There we have it. The Evoke Destroyer artifact card. I don't know the name. I'm sorry. Come on, you're the expert. Chat, help us out. What's the name of this card? But I think it's Evoke, or when it comes into play.
It's not Evoke. It's when it comes into play, and it
destroys an artifact.
He actually got the Cavern to make sure it's also uncounterable.
Yeah.
And then he could attack for lethal.
Well played by Ivan. So we are going to game number 3 here in round 9. Up until the last minute. I mean, most of the players are already moving out of the hall as this day is over, but we're going to be here till the very last minute. Maybe Steven Edmondson looking back at his deck, reconsidering his options. Certainly might have not have been expecting the turn 4 kill here.
What can you do? If they have the infinite combo plus a way to deal with your bridge, okay, you also lose some games, even if you're protected behind the bridge.
He's looking back at his Biting Needles.
Pithing Needle looks really strong. Why is it not in the deck?
Yeah, maybe he was not afraid of Knight of the Reliquary.
Should have been.
Yeah.
Vithian Renegades, thank you, chat. You got our back. It's one of the lesser played ways of destroying artifacts. It's a human, I guess. So
Yep.
so that it somehow
Is it a 3/2?
3/2, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Colorless green red.
Slightly better than Viridian Shaman.
Considering the mana cost, well, it's a human, so it makes a lot of sense in the Bund human reliquary Coral Helm
And
combo deck.
it being a creature, also very relevant with Collected Company, of
Mhm.
course. Reclamation Sage is another example of that card type of effect, which you see often. But he wanted a human. It's actually the Reliquary Coral Helm combo deck usually doesn't run that many humans, right? It's more of a spell queller deck most of the time.
But this, I don't think
With
this deck
Collected
is,
Company.
because isn't
No,
Ivan also playing even lieutenants?
Yeah, he
So-
went
so
for
this
the
is-
more
this
aggressive
is more like
version.
Bund human aggro with the combo on top.
With Collected Company. Just shows how deep you can go in Modern. Even the most known archetypes you can just develop and make something different out from it. This is the second human deck we see. The other one was doing very well. I think 7-0 or
Mhm.
6-0 on the back of Talia. Also the Talia's Lieutenant and the Talia 2/1 Mayor of Everbrook. That deck had Mirren Crusader. Some interesting choices.
And now that you mention it, we actually saw 4 and 5 color human decks already in Copenhagen. I think some of the suites brought
Yeah, could be.
basically aggro decks. Champion of the Parish, followed
Oh, yeah.
by
I remember.
Reflector Mage, an important card in
Mm.
this kind of strategy.
It was late in day 2. He was playing for top 8,
Yeah.
I believe, and lost the last round or second to last round.
It was quite impressive. Of course, in a sense, a metagame call, but nonetheless.
Reflector Mage is a very good card against that Shadow. They don't have that many threats, and getting to bounce the Delve creatures is even
Huge.
better.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And that Shadow deck, it does have ways to counter problematic instant or sorceries with Stubborn Denial, but creatures are actually quite of a problem. There's no way, like for example, if the Dead Shadow deck plays against the Red-Green Valakut deck, Primeval Titan is very problematic. They have no way of countering it, at least in game 1.
They have to Thoughtseize it, basically.
Yeah, they have to Thoughtseize it, and if they cannot, then it just comes down, searches up Valakut, and then threatens to deal 3 every turn.
On the other hand, Scapeshifts is not as much of a problem.
No. But anyway, let's take a look at game number 3. Both these players, Ivan de Castro Sanchez, Steven Edmondson, are they going to start with the preferred amount of cards in their hand, being number 7, or will they have to mulligan? Nope, we see both players keep, seeing a Thoughtseize on turn 1 for Steven Edmondson, it seems. Or is he going for something different? It seems like he's taking a different. Yeah, he's going to ring the bell. Lantern of Insight. Let me see what you draw. Champion of the Parish.
Wow.
Second one,
Oh, maybe no white mana.
he's gonna start with the Noble Hierarch though. Breeding Pool. He does have a white mana. A little bit surprised
Oh,
to see.
He's holding, I think, Stony Silence. Maybe that's a card he really wants
yeah.
to deploy. Noble Hierarch is also just really important in this matchup as a 0 power creature. So
Yeah, and I'm guessing Steven Edmondson will be very happy to grab that Stony Silence here. Oh, and then he sees, oh no, Eternal Witness. That's actually one of the reasons why he's playing the Noble Hierarch. Even if the Stony Silence gets hit by Thoughtseize, he can just play the Witness, get it back right away.
yeah, but if you have the Witness as backup, and you know you're drawing the champion next turn, why don't you just go turn 1 champion, turn 2 champion Hierarch?
Because then it doesn't give you back the Stony Silence for 2 more turns. Then you only play the Witness on turn 3, and now you can play it on turn 2.
Yeah, I don't think in this kind of matchup it's actually so relevant to have. This is not affinity. You just need to have the card at some point. There's nothing yet that's really scary. So you would actually play Witness next turn?
tough to say.
You're giving up
A lot
a
of
huge
damage.
amount of damage.
Codex Shredder and Biting Needle, of course, not able to name Noble Hierarch.
Able, yes, but it wouldn't make
Yep.
it wouldn't make any sense.
I'm
'Cause
guessing
it's a
Knight of
mana.
the Reliquary, or maybe the Fetch Land, Misty Rainforest, which he saw. Oh, look at that. Of course, not very good against the Codex Shredder.
If Steven has surgical extraction, he can do some nice stuff. Force Ivan to draw Stony Sands and then exile it. But Ivan, this is a tricky turn. And Steven is still.
I think I like playing the Witness here.
You just want to make sure that you get the
Yeah.
you get the.
I don't want to give my opponent more chances of drawing a Thoughtseize or something like that.
What about the fact that you know that there is a brutality on top of your opponent's deck? Does that change anything?
It doesn't get rid of the Stony Silence nor the Eternal Witness, so probably not. And there's also still the Codex Shredder.
Yeah, and he used it on himself because of that reason.
Yep. This is a fast clock. This is going like every human adds 2 power plus the power of itself to the board because of the Lieutenant and the Champion of the Parish. Another Codex Shredder on top. Just has to say go. He does have the fair to search up if he finds enough lands.
So, why does Steven allow Ivan to draw the Stony Silence? Is this because he's desperately looking for Ensnaring Bridge?
I'm surprised. Maybe he didn't want to waste more mill effects to it, but doesn't this just shut down the door? It also shuts down Mox Opal, delays his Inventor's Fair another turn.
So what did the needle name? It wasn't Misty Rainforest after all.
I'm guessing Knight of the Reliquary. Or maybe Kazali Pride Mage, if it's in there. Ivan de Castro Sanchez, can he go 9-0 undefeated on day 1 of Grand Prix Birmingham with his Reliquary human deck? Also added some sort of combo with the Coral Helm.
Maybe he isn't even playing too many Coral Helms, because Knight of the Reliquary is a really good card anyway.
Yeah, they usually the banned list play 1 or 2. They don't.
Just like a silver bullet kind of. I win the game. Oops, I win.
It's not that bad, even if you don't have the Knight of the Reliquary. It's not very good, but at least it allows you to scry. Everything gets +1. No, not the Noble Hierarch. Attack for 1, 5, 6, 7. Down to 12. Steven Edmondson.
Steven is almost drawing dead here. He's drawing a Codex Shredder next turn.
He was very close to going undefeated. Up a game in round 9. 8-0, but it seems like the human deck is getting the best of him. Inventor's Fair is gonna gain him 1 life. Eternal Witness still in hand for Ivan, so even an Ensnaring Bridge might not do it.
You really don't want to play against Eternal Witness with the Lantern deck.
No.
It's such a versatile card. It will always get back the cards you're most scared of. The Lantern deck really relies on being able to lock their opponents out completely. And it's funny how Steven can look 1 turn into the future and...
he cannot use it, right?
No, it's
yeah, he's
forbidden.
thinking about something that he cannot use. So he's just gonna draw the Codex Shredder. Will he be able to survive?
No, I think he's contemplating.
Looking at using the Ghost Quarter.
Well, that puts him to 2 lands. What is he going to top deck? I've seen this now for the 2nd time today, and once again, I'm not too impressed.
Destroying your own land. Here we have it, Basic Forest. At least he gets to draw a fresh card, which he might need. If he's holding a land, he can top deck Ensnaring Bridge and live for another day. He does need to find the Thoughtseize the turn after to get rid of the Renegade.
Within Renegade, yeah.
Look at that.
Wow.
He's got it. He's got it. We're going to see some more magic here. I told you we'd be here till the very last minute. Draw Ensnaring Bridge, yeah? Sure. That's not a... he can do it again. He can Ghost Quarter himself again. Get the Black Source this time, which he needs for the Thoughtseize.
This is just insane.
And actually, Ivan doesn't even have the red mana yet. This game's not over.
This game is far from over.
This is
there's
not over.
There's a collected company. We can mention that maybe.
Yeah.
Witness getting back the Renegade anyway.
Probably.
Trigger, trigger, trigger.
Is it a human?
Oh, it's
yeah, I guess it is.
It's... What is it exactly? I was going to say human wizard, but it's probably not a wizard.
Steven Anderson making it easy for us. Put these cards that do nothing aside. Draw another Pitting Needle. On top, Lantern of Insight. Another useless 1-mana artifact. The chances are getting slim that he's gonna win here, right? It will have to be a very good top of his deck. He needs the Black Source and the Thoughtseize before Ivan gets a Black Source, and there's a Collected Company which might hit a Birds of Paradise.
The collected company is already scary enough.
Oh, look at that. He's not even gonna fire up, I'm guessing. Just gonna add some more creatures to the board. All of them humans. Getting bigger and bigger. We're already out of dice. As we gotta use the red one. That's the signal it's going well for Ivan de Castro Sanchez. Pump all of my humans. There we have some more of them. I still remember the picture I took from Frank Carson when his whole board was flooded with dice and his affinity deck after a grueling match. I believe it was against Lantern as well.
So now you Ghost Quarter yourself again?
Yeah, that's what you gotta do. He's gotta do what he's gotta do.
But what are your outs at that point?
If he has a Black Source,
if he has a Swamp in his deck,
or he could Ghost Quarter Ivan and hope that he shuffles. Inquisition? No.
Inquisition would have done it.
There we have the handshake. Ivan de Castro Sanchez and his human reliquary Coral Helm combo company banned list. Undefeated after round 9 here at Grand Prix Birmingham, and still a great performance by Steven Edmondson and his Lantern control deck. I gotta be honest, I was rooting for the good guys here. I was rooting for the
Me too,
human deck.
Lantern. Yeah.
No, you weren't. You were. Oh no, we're gonna be here for so many time. Anyways, this was it for round number 9. All of the rounds are done here at day number 1. We saw a variety of decks. The day started with a lot of Valakuts and blue-white control, but in the end, we saw a lot of different decks. I mean, this round, it was crazy.
Yep.
6 different archetypes, and all of them